She woke up, fish scales covering her arms, spreading hourly. Adaora's scream shattered the morning silence. Her hands, those delicate hands that had held her wedding bouquet just 3 days ago, were no longer human. Silver-green scales, cold and rough like the belly of a tilapia fish, covered her fingers, her palms, crawling up her wrists. But to understand how Adaora, the most beautiful bride in all of Umuahia, became this, we must go back 7 days to when she first met the woman who would destroy her. 7 days ago, the sun blessed her wedding day. Adaora wore white lace that made her look like an angel. Her joy was pure, untouched by doubt. Chinedu, her husband, couldn't stop staring at her. "My wife," he kept whispering, like he couldn't believe his fortune. The entire village celebrated. Drums thundered. Women danced. Children threw flowers. Then Nnenna arrived. She moved through the crowd like cold water through warm, smiling, yes, but her eyes held something else, something that made Adaora's skin prickle. During the blessing ceremony, Nnenna placed both hands on Adaora's head. Her fingers were ice cold despite the afternoon heat. He whispered words in Old Igbo, words Adaora didn't understand. Words that felt wrong. The air around them seemed to thicken, darken for just a moment. "What did she say?" Adaora asked Chinedu later. "Just traditional blessings." He laughed, kissing her forehead. "My mother's old-fashioned. Don't worry." End quote. End quote. 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 But Adaora did worry. That night, in Chinedu's family compound, she woke to find Nnenna standing at their bedroom door. Just standing, staring. When Adaora gasped, the older woman smiled and walked away without a word. Day 2 brought subtle cruelties. Nnenna criticized Adaora's cooking, her cleaning, her voice, her laughter. "You're not good enough for my son," she said plainly, when they were alone. No pretense of warmth remained. Day 3, Nnenna began mentioning other women. "Chinedu had 3 girlfriends before you," she said at dinner. "Such lovely girls. They all left." Something in how she said left made Adaora's blood run cold. Day 4, she woke up screaming. The first scales had appeared on her left palm. Just 5 or 6, clustered together like silver coins pressed into her flesh. She touched them, horror rising in her throat. They were part of her skin, growing from her, not on her, cold, real, impossible. She covered her hand with her sleeve, mind racing. What was happening? Disease? Curse? She thought of Nnenna's cold fingers on her head, those strange words, that watching smile. Now, day 7. The transformation was undeniable. Scales covered both arms completely, spreading across her shoulders. Her skin felt wrong, too tight, like something underneath was pushing out. When she breathed, she felt resistance, as if her lungs were changing shape. She covered her arms with long sleeves. She had to hide this, had to understand what was happening. But the scales, they were already reaching her elbows. And through her bedroom window, she could see Nnenna in the courtyard below, watching, always watching, smiling. By noon, the scales had reached her shoulders. Adaora locked her bedroom door, hands trembling as she peeled off her sleeve. The transformation had accelerated. Scales now covered her arms entirely, spreading across her collarbones like armor. Each one caught the light, shimmering with that unnatural silver-green sheen. She touched her neck, more scales, moving, growing. She could feel them, pushing through her skin from inside. Chinedu knocked. "Adaora? You've been in there all morning. Are you all right?" "I'm fine," her voice cracked. "Just feeling sick. The heat." "Let me see you, please." "No, too sharp." She softened her tone. "I just need rest, my husband. I'll be better by evening." His footsteps retreated reluctantly. Guilt twisted in her stomach, but how could she explain this? He'd think her cursed, unclean. He'd send her away. Night fell like a burial shroud. The scales had spread to her torso now. wrapping around her ribs like fingers. Breathing hurt. Her lungs felt compressed, different. When she inhaled deeply, she felt a strange flutter in her neck. Were those gills trying to form? The compound grew quiet. Adaora waited until she heard Chinedu's breathing deepen into sleep, then crept from their room. Her feet moved silently across cold concrete. She had to know. Had to understand why Nnenna watched her with such satisfaction. Nnenna's door was slightly open. Candlelight flickered within. Adaora pressed against the wall, peering through the crack. What she saw froze her blood. Nnenna knelt before a shrine Adaora had never seen. Clay pots surrounded a wooden carving of a woman with a fishtail. Fresh flowers, burning incense, and photographs. So many photographs. Young women, beautiful brides, 3 of them. Nnenna's voice rose in prayer. Idemili, great goddess of the river, I honor our bargain. The 4th bride approaches completion. Soon she will return to your waters, and you will grant me another year of strength. 4th bride. The words echoed in Adaora's skull. She looked closer at the photographs. The women had the same look in their eyes. Confusion, fear, hope. All wore wedding attire. All were young. And beneath each photo, written in Nnenna's handwriting, "Return to Idemili." Adaora's hand flew to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Those women, Chinedu's previous girlfriends. The ones who left. They hadn't left. They'd been sacrificed. Her knees nearly buckled. She backed away from the door, mind reeling. Nnenna had made some kind of pact with a river goddess. Every woman Chinedu married was cursed, transformed, killed. And Adaora was the 4th. She stumbled back to her room, barely breathing. Her reflection in the mirror showed the horrible truth, accelerating. Scales now covered her cheeks. Her eyes, once deep brown, had lightened to an eerie blue-green. The color of river water. The color of something not quite human. Her lips were drying, cracking. But when she touched them with her tongue, she didn't want water from the cup. She wanted, she didn't know what, something deeper, something flowing. The river. She wanted the river. The realization terrified her more than the scales. The curse wasn't just changing her body. It was changing her wants, her desires. Soon, she wouldn't want to be human anymore. Soon, she'd walk into that river willingly and drown with a smile, just like the other 3. Adaora looked at her reflection. Scales covered her cheeks now, her eyes changing color, blue-green, like the river, like a fish. She had 3 days. Mama Obiagali, the herbalist. She was her only hope. But Nnenna was watching, always watching. Dawn came. Adaora could barely breathe air anymore. Each inhale felt like drowning in reverse. Her lungs wanted water, not oxygen. She gasped, clutching her throat, feeling the strange flutter of protogills forming beneath her jaw. The transformation was 50% complete now. Her legs felt weak, boneless, as if her body wanted to trade them for something more suitable for swimming. She had to reach Mama Obiagali before she lost the ability to walk. Nnenna was asleep. Adaora heard her snoring from across the compound. Now, she had to go. Now. She wrapped herself in a long dress and headscarf, hiding her scaled skin, and slipped through the gate like a ghost. Walking was agony. Each step felt wrong, unnatural. Her body wanted to swim, not walk. Her muscles kept trying to move in wave-like motions. She stumbled, caught herself, pushed forward. The morning market stirred to life around her, but she kept her head down, focused only on reaching the herbalist's shrine at the village edge. Mama Obiageli's compound appeared through the mist like a sanctuary. The old woman stood in her doorway, grinding herbs in a mortar. When she saw Adaora stumbling toward her, her weathered face showed no surprise. Only deep, ancient sadness. "So, Nnenna has done it again," she said quietly, helping Adaora inside. "4th bride. Child, remove your covering. Let me see." Adaora unwrapped her scarf and dress with shaking hands. Mama Obiageli's sharp intake of breath confirmed what Adaora already knew. It was bad. Worse than bad. The scales covered most of her body now, shimmering in the dim light. Her hands had begun flattening, fingers webbing together. "How long do I have?" Adaora whispered. "Today is day 5. You have 2 days before completion." Mama Obiageli sat heavily on a wooden stool. "After that, you won't be human anymore. Not in body, not in mind. You'll forget you ever were. You'll swim to Idemili's river and never return. Tell me everything, please. Why is Nnenna doing this?" The herbalist's eyes grew distant, remembering. 30 years ago, Nnenna had a daughter, beautiful child, named Adaku. Only 8 years old when she drowned in the sacred river during the dry season, when the waters should have been shallow and safe. The village mourned with Nnenna. We thought it was tragedy. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But some of us noticed things. Nnenna didn't age after that. Should be nearly 80 now. Looks barely 50. Has strength no grandmother should possess. And every woman her son loved disappeared, vanished, always near the river. What did she do? Adaora's voice was barely audible. She went to Idemili in her grief and made a bargain. "Give me back my daughter's life force," she begged. The goddess replied, "Life for life, but the price is high. Every woman who would take your daughter's place in your son's heart must return to me. 4 brides for 1 daughter. This is the exchange." 4 brides, 3 already gone. Adaora was the 4th, the final payment. But why fish? Adaora looked at her webbing hands. Why transform us? Idemili is a river goddess. Those who serve her must be adapted to water. The transformation prepares you to become her eternal servant, swimming in her depths, unable to leave, unable to die. The 3 before you are still there, Adaora. Still conscious, still trapped, still themselves enough to know what they've lost. Horror crashed over Adaora like a wave. How do I stop it? Mama Obiageli stood, moving to her shrine. She returned with a small clay pot of thick, dark oil. This will slow the transformation, buy you time. But there's only one way to break the curse completely. Nnenna must willingly confess her crimes before Idemili and take your place. The guilty for the innocent. That's the only exchange the goddess will accept. She'll never do that. No, she won't. She's addicted to the power, you see. The youth, the strength. She's killed 4 people for it. Her own daughter, and 3 innocent brides. She won't give it up willingly. Then what do I do? The herbalist's face hardened with determination. We force her to the river. We make her face Idemili directly. Goddesses honor their bargains, yes, but they also honor justice. If we can prove Nnenna's deception. What deception? Mama Obiageli's voice dropped to a whisper. I suspect Nnenna didn't just make a bargain after her daughter drowned. I suspect she drowned her daughter deliberately to gain the power. That's not grief-driven desperation. That's cold-blooded murder. And if that's true, the goddess was lied to. While they talked, Adaora felt her hands change. The webbing completed. Her hands were fins now, useless for gripping anything. She gasped, and the gasp became a gulp. She needed water, needed it desperately. Her throat was closing, her lungs were screaming. Mama Obiageli grabbed a bucket of water. Adaora plunged her face into it, drinking, breathing, her new gills fluttering with relief. When she lifted her head, water streaming down her scales, she saw the truth in the herbalist's eyes. Child, you have 2 days. After that, you won't want to be human anymore. You'll think like a fish, want like a fish. You'll swim into that river singing with joy, and you'll never even remember you had a name. Nnenna was waiting for her at the compound gate. Adaora froze, still clutching the clay pot of oil. The older woman stood motionless in the morning light, arms crossed, face carved from stone. But her eyes glittered with malice and satisfaction. Did Mama Obiageli tell you everything? Nnenna's voice was silk over razors. Did she explain how you're going to die? You cursed me. Adaora's voice shook but held. During the wedding blessing, You've been planning this since the day Chinedu told you about me. Planning? Nnenna laughed, cold and brittle. Child, I chose you. Out of all the girls my son courted, I picked you specifically. Want to know why? Adaora said nothing, scales bristling with fear. Because you're strong, intelligent. You would have made Chinedu happy, given him strong children, built a good life. Nnenna stepped closer. The goddess values quality, you see. Weak sacrifices bring weak returns. But you're the best offering I've given her yet. Your transformation will grant me 10 more years of youth instead of 5. The casual cruelty stole Adaora's breath. You're a monster. I'm a survivor. You'll understand when you're swimming in the deep, watching the sunlight filter down through the water, unable to reach it, unable to die, unable to do anything but serve for eternity. Movement behind Nnenna. Chinedu appeared, home early from the farm. His eyes found Adaora, and his face went white. She'd forgotten to hide. Her scales caught the sunlight, shimmering across her exposed arms and face. Her webbed hands clutched the pot. Her blue-green eyes met his brown ones. Adaora? His voice broke. What happened to you? Your mother. Adaora's words tumbled out desperately. She cursed me during our wedding. She's done this before, Chinedu. 3 other women, your other girlfriends. They didn't leave. They were sacrificed to a river goddess. She's killing me to stay young. Chinedu looked between them, confusion and horror warring on his face. Mother, what is she talking about? Nnenna's expression shifted seamlessly to concern. Son, I tried to tell you. This girl, she's cursed, impure. Her transformation proves she brought evil into our home. She's a bad wife, touched by dark spirits. Neighbors began emerging from compounds, drawn by the raised voices. They saw Adaora's scales and recoiled, whispering. Some made protective signs. A crowd gathered, growing larger by the moment. She's lying, Adaora shouted, but her voice came out strange now, garbled by her changing throat. Check her room. She has a shrine to Idemili, photographs of the dead women. Lies from a cursed mouth. Nnenna addressed the crowd now, playing to them. She disrespected our ancestors, brought shame to this family. The spirits marked her as unclean. We must cleanse her properly. How? An elder asked. Take her to the river tomorrow. Let the goddess judge her purity. The crowd murmured agreement. They didn't understand. Nnenna was sending Adaora directly to her death, wrapped in tradition and righteousness. Chinedu stood frozen, torn between his wife and his mother, between modern skepticism and ancient fear. I don't believe in curses. This is a disease. We should take her to the hospital. No hospital can cure spiritual corruption, Nnenna snapped. Unless you want this evil to spread to you, to our family, to the entire village. Fear won. Chinedu stepped back from Adaora, and she saw her marriage crumble in his eyes. He loved her, but he loved his life more. Lock her in her room, an elder suggested. For protection, keep her there until tomorrow's cleansing. Strong hands grabbed Adaora. She fought, but her transformed body was weak on land. They dragged her inside, locked her in the bedroom she'd shared with her husband. She heard them pile furniture against the door. Through the window she watched the sun arc across the sky. The oil Mama Obiageli gave her sat unused in the pot. They'd taken it, suspicious of witch medicine. The transformation accelerated without the oil's protection. By noon, scales covered her entirely. By evening, her legs had begun fusing together. By nightfall, she could no longer form human words, only gurgling sounds. Her mind felt strange, slippery. What was her name? Ada something. Why did names matter? Water mattered. The river mattered. She needed to swim. A scratching at the window. Adaora turned her fish-like eyes toward the sound. Sola, her best friend, clung to the outside wall. Ada, hold on. Sola pried the window open and climbed through, gasping. She saw Adaora's transformation and went pale, but didn't flee. Oh God! Oh Ada! What has she done to you? Adaora tried to speak. Only bubbles came out. Don't talk. Listen. I believe you. I saw Nnenna's shrine, too. I snuck in after they locked you up. I saw the photographs. I saw everything. Sola grabbed Adaora's webbed hands. We're getting you out of here. Now. She helped Adaora through the window. They dropped into the darkness together. Best friends bound by loyalty, stronger than fear. Sola half-carried, half-dragged Adaora through the village paths toward Mama Obiageli's compound. Adaora's mind kept slipping. Who was this girl helping her? Why were they running? Where was the river? She needed the river. Needed it so badly. Her thoughts felt like water, flowing, formless, impossible to hold. Who? You? The words came out garbled, barely human. Sola's tears fell on Adaora's scales. I'm Kanyen, your best friend. You're Adaora. Remember? Please remember. But Adaora looked at her with blank, fishy eyes. She'd caught a frog during their flight and eaten it raw without thinking. The human part of her watched in horror from somewhere deep inside, but the fish part was taking over. Soon there would be only the fish. They reached Mama Obiageli's shrine, just as the last ember of sunset died. The herbalist took one look at Adaora and understood. Tomorrow is day 7. By sunset, you'll forget you were ever human. We must act now. We're going to that river, and Nnenna is coming with us, even if we have to drag her. They dragged Nnenna to the river at dawn, kicking and screaming. Mama Obiageli had recruited strong young men from the village, those who'd lost sisters, cousins, friends, to mysterious river drownings over the years. They'd always suspected. Now they knew. When they learned what Nnenna had done, their grief transformed into righteous fury. They went to the compound in the dark before sunrise, overpowered Nnenna in her sleep, and bound her wrists. You have no right, Nnenna shrieked, thrashing. I am elder of this family. You dare touch me? You're a murderer, Mama Obiageli said simply. Now you face judgment. Chinedu followed the procession, pale and hollow-eyed. He'd found his mother's shrine after Sola told him where to look. He'd seen the photographs, the ritual items, the evidence of 3 decades of evil. His entire life had been built on his mother's murders. They reached the sacred river as dawn broke. The water was black, unnatural, like liquid obsidian. No birds sang. No insects buzzed. This place existed outside normal life, touched by divine presence. The air itself felt thick, heavy with power. Adaora collapsed at the water's edge. She was 95% fish now, barely clinging to human consciousness. Her fused legs had become a tail. Her gills fluttered frantically. Only her eyes remained recognizably human, and even they were fading to pure aquamarine. She dragged herself toward the water, irresistibly drawn. Soon she'd be home, in the deep, where she belonged. Mama Obiageli began the summoning ritual. She burned herbs, poured libations, spoke ancient words in dialect so old even she barely understood them. The river responded. The water rose, not like a wave, like something standing up. The water churned, swirled, formed a shape, a woman, but not entirely. Her lower body remained liquid, flowing, ever-changing. Her upper body shifted between human and fish, scales and skin trading places moment by moment. Her eyes were completely black, ancient beyond measure. Beautiful, terrible, absolutely inhuman. Idemili had arrived. Who disturbs my peace? Her voice was rushing water, distant thunder, the crash of falls. It resonated in their bones, their blood, their souls. I do. Mama Obiageli stood firm, though her legs trembled. I bring you a liar who has abused your sacred bargain. The goddess's black eyes, fixed on Nnenna. Explain. Great Idemili. Nnenna's fear was real now, primal. Forgive this intrusion. The bargain stands. I've honored every term. 4 brides for my daughter's life force. 3 are yours, already, swimming in your depths. The 4th is nearly ready. The bargain stands, Idemili agreed. The crowd exhaled in despair. A price was set, 4 brides for 1 daughter. 3 sleep in my waters. The fourth transforms as we speak. Yes! Nnenna's relief was palpable. Take her. Our deal is complete. But you lied to me. The words dropped like stones. The river water around the goddess began to boil. I never. You told me your daughter drowned by accident. That grief drove you to my shores, desperate for any bargain that would ease your pain. You told me you would sacrifice your son's happiness to reclaim what fate stole from you. Idemili's form grew larger, darker. But that's not what happened, is it, Nnenna? I don't know what. Your daughter didn't drown by accident. You brought her to this river. You held her under until her struggles stopped. You sacrificed your own child to me deliberately, then bargained for power using her death as currency. Chinedu made a sound like he'd been stabbed. You didn't lose a daughter, the goddess continued, her voice building like a storm. You murdered a daughter. Then you lied to me, used my grief offerings to gain extended life and youth, and murdered 3 more innocents to maintain your power. You think I didn't know? Nnenna's face crumbled, the lies stripped away. She was weak, sickly. She would have died anyway. I gave her death meaning. I turned it into power. The confession echoed across the water. The crowd recoiled in horror. Chinedu fell to his knees, vomiting. This woman, his mother, had murdered his sister before he was born, had built his entire family on that murder, had killed 3 women he'd loved to maintain the lie. Adaora, barely conscious, heard the confession through her fading humanity. Justice. Finally. Justice. Idemili spoke, and her words were final as death. You killed your own daughter. You used my river as your murder weapon. You traded 4 innocent lives for youth and vanity. Nnenna, the bargain you made was built on deception. I honor my agreements, but I do not forgive lies told to my face. Please, Nnenna tried to run. The river reached for her. Not water anymore, hands. Dozens of them, liquid and solid at once, erupting from the black water. They grabbed Nnenna's ankles, her legs, her waist. She screamed, clawing at the earth, fingernails breaking as she tried to resist. The hands pulled, slowly, inch by agonizing inch. You will take the 4th bride's place, Idemili pronounced. You will swim in these waters forever, conscious and aware, unable to die, unable to leave, remembering always what it felt like to be human, to breathe air, to feel sunlight. And you will do this not for 7 years or 70, but for eternity. No! No! Adaku! Nnenna screamed her dead daughter's name as the water swallowed her knees, her thighs, her waist. I'm sorry. Adaku, I'm sorry. Too late. The river took her. Her head went under. Bubbles rose, then stopped. For a moment, nothing. Then something surfaced. A large fish, silver green, with human eyes. Nnenna's eyes. Aware, conscious, trapped, the fish dove and disappeared into the depths. Idemili turned to Adaora. The goddess reached out, touched the transformed girl's scaled face. You are free. The guilty pays for the innocent. Your humanity is returned. Adaora convulsed. The scales began falling off like dead skin, hitting the ground with soft clicks. It hurt. God, it hurt worse than the transformation. Like being skinned alive. She screamed, a human scream, her vocal cords reforming, her gills sealed shut, her tail split back into legs, her webbed hands separated into fingers. Nnenna and Chinedu held her through the agony, both crying. The transformation reversed in minutes. What had taken 7 days to build, justice unmade in moments. When it ended, Adaora lay gasping on the riverbank, human again, mostly. Some scales remained on her back, permanent marks. Her eyes stayed blue-green, and deep inside, she felt it, the river's call. Faint, but eternal. Idemili spoke her final words. You are free, Adaora, but you will always be part mine. The river will call you. You must never answer. This is the price of your survival. The goddess looked at the crowd. Let this be known. I honor bargains, but I am not evil. She who bargains with lies will pay. She who bargains with love may be saved. Never sacrifice innocence for power. The river remembers. The river judges. The river is fair. She dissolved back into the water. The river returned to normal. Not black anymore. Just water, flowing peacefully, as if nothing had happened. But beneath its surface, Nnenna swam in eternal punishment, and everyone knew it. Nnenna's final scream echoed across the water. Then, silence. The transformation back to humanity took hours. Adaora lay on the riverbank, her body expelling scales like poison, her bones cracking back into human shape. Every reversed change brought agony. Her lungs relearning to breathe air, her eyes adjusting from water vision to light, her legs remembering how to bend at knees instead of flowing like a tail. Chinedu sat beside her, holding her hand, weeping openly. Mama Obiageli chanted prayers of healing. Kanyinsula brought water, cloth, comfort. The village witnesses stood in silent circles, bearing witness to both miracle and horror. By midday, the worst had passed. Adaora could sit up, speak, recognize faces, but she was changed, permanently. The scales on her back remained, a patch between her shoulder blades, silver green, impossible to remove. They caught light like fish scales should, marking her forever as someone who'd been touched by the river goddess. Her eyes remained that eerie blue-green, neither fully human nor fully other. And the craving, God, the craving for water never left. She drank constantly, desperately, but it was never enough. Her body remembered what it had almost become. Worse were the memories. She remembered being the fish, remembered thinking in images instead of words, remembered wanting the river more than air, more than love, more than her own name. That hunger still lived inside her, quiet but present, waiting. "What have I become?" she whispered. "A survivor," Mama Obiageli said firmly. "Marked, yes. Changed, yes. But alive and human. That's more than the others got." The others. The 3 dead brides. Ngozi, Chidinma, Amara. Their names emerged from village memory as families came forward, weeping, finally understanding what had happened to their missing daughters. Nnenna had cursed them all, transformed them all, and they'd walked into the river smiling, already more fish than woman, unable to resist the call. They were still down there, swimming in the goddess's domain, eternal servants with no escape. Their families wept, their mothers, fathers, siblings gathered at the riverbank, calling names into the water, knowing their loved ones could hear but never respond. Adaora wept with them. She'd been so close to joining them. Chinedu's grief was different, darker. He'd discovered his mother was a murderer 4 times over. His sister, the sister he'd never known, had been murdered by the woman who'd raised him. 3 women he'd loved had been sacrificed to maintain his mother's youth. His entire life was built on death. "I should have seen," he said, voice hollow. "The signs were there. Women who loved me always left mysteriously. Mother never aged. She always hated anyone who came close to me. I should have known." "She was clever," Mama Obiageli said. "She used your modern skepticism against you, made you think village superstitions were just ignorance. But child, you must understand. Evil lives in this world. It wears familiar faces. It calls itself love, while committing murder." Chinedu went to the 3 families, carrying his shame like stones. He brought what money he had, though no amount could compensate for a daughter. He begged forgiveness, though he'd done nothing wrong except be born to a monster. Some families accepted his apologies. Others couldn't look at him, seeing Nnenna's face in his features. He arranged for a memorial, 3 stones placed at the riverbank, carved with names: Ngozi, Chidinma, Amara. The village gathered to honor them, to name them, to ensure they were remembered. They lit candles, they poured libations, they spoke the names until the air rang with them. Adaora stood before the stones, her back scales catching candlelight. "I survived because you died," she said to the unhearing stones. "I carry your memory now. I'll make sure you're never forgotten." The village elders declared Nnenna's compound cursed. They burned her shrine, scattered her belongings, and forbade anyone from living there. Chinedu and Adaora would never return to that place of murder and lies. But where would they go? Could their marriage survive this? Adaora looked at her husband and saw his grief, his guilt, his desperate love struggling against his shame. "I don't know if I can stay married to Nnenna's son," she said honestly. "Every time I look at you, I'll remember." Her hands on my head during the blessing. Her smile as I transformed. How you stepped back when you saw my scales. Chinedu flinched like she'd struck him. "I failed you. When you needed me most, I failed. But Adaora, I love you. I'll spend every day proving that love. I'll never doubt you again. Never choose anyone over you. Never let fear control me." She wanted to believe him. Part of her did. But trust, once shattered, rebuilds slowly. They left the village together, but not as they'd been. They moved to a different town, far from the cursed compound, far from pitying eyes. They rented a small house near a stream. Adaora needed water nearby now, needed to hear it flow, or the craving became unbearable. At night, she dreamed of swimming, of diving deep into cool darkness, of never needing to surface, of forgetting her name, her face, her humanity. She'd wake gasping, clutching Chinedu, reminding herself, "I'm human. I'm Adaora. I'm human." But some nights, she wasn't sure which she believed more. 3 months later, Adaora stood at the riverbank again. Not because she had to, because she chose to. The sacred river looked peaceful now, deceptive in its calm. Morning mist rose from the surface like ghosts. Birds sang again. The divine presence had faded, leaving just water, just nature. But Adaora knew better. Beneath that tranquil surface, Nnenna swam eternally, and 3 innocent women served a goddess who'd claimed them unfairly. She knelt, placing offerings on the bank, fresh flowers, palm wine, kola nuts. "Idemili," she whispered, "I thank you for mercy, for justice, for my life." The water rippled, acknowledging. The goddess didn't appear, but Adaora felt her presence, watching, always watching, just as Nnenna once had, but without malice, with something closer to guardianship. "I pray for Ngozi, Chidinma, and Amara. May they find peace in your waters." Another ripple. Acceptance. Her new life was strange, marked by survival. She'd kept the house near the stream. Living away from running water made her physically ill now. Feverish and desperate. The craving never left. Some mornings she woke with her face pressed to the bathroom faucet, drinking in her sleep. Her body remembered what it had almost become. The scales on her back remained visible, silver green between her shoulder blades. She didn't hide them anymore. They told her story without words. Survivor, fighter, marked by the divine. Women in her new town asked about them. She told the truth. Some believed. Some thought her mad. She didn't care. Her eyes stayed blue-green, striking and unnatural. Children stared. Elders made protective signs. But others, women who'd escaped abusive marriages, men who'd survived near-death experiences, recognized her for what she was, someone who'd looked into the abyss and crawled back out, changed. Chinedu came to the river behind her, carrying his own offerings. He'd aged in 3 months, grief and guilt carved lines around his eyes. But he stayed. He worked twice as hard to rebuild trust. He visited the 3 families monthly, bringing support, speaking Ngozi's, Chidinma's, and Amara's names, so they wouldn't be forgotten. He'd commissioned a proper memorial stone in the village center. 3 names carved deep, 3 young faces sketched in profile. Beneath them, "Murdered by Nnenna, remembered forever." The village elders had initially protested. Speaking ill of the dead brought bad luck. Chinedu had stared them down. "She's not dead. She's swimming." And they deserved truth, not silence. The memorial stood now, permanent and accusing. "Do you forgive me?" Chinedu asked quietly, as he'd asked 100 times. Adaora considered, as she always did. "I'm learning to. Forgiveness isn't an event, my husband. It's a practice." Some days I manage it. Some days I see your mother's smile in your face, and I want to run." He nodded, accepting. He never demanded more than she could give. Their marriage survived, but transformed, like Adaora herself. Less innocent now, more careful. Built on brutal honesty instead of romantic illusions. They loved each other, but the love was scarred tissue, tougher and stranger than before. Kanyan Sola visited often, their friendship forged in crisis, now unbreakable. She'd witnessed everything, believed when no one else had, risked everything to help. She'd become Adaora's sister, in all but blood. "You're braver than anyone I know," Kanyan Sola said during her last visit. "I'm not brave. I'm just alive. There's a difference." But maybe survival was its own form of courage. Mama Obiageli came monthly to check on Adaora's condition, teaching her to manage the river's call. "It will never stop," the herbalist explained. "You'll hear it every night, in rain, in running taps, in your own pulse. You must refuse it every single time. That's your burden and your power. You know both worlds now, human and other. Use that knowledge wisely." Adaora was learning. She could sense spirits now, see them flickering at the edges of vision, could feel evil in people like cold wind on her skin. The transformation had opened doors in her perception that would never fully close. Sometimes she saw Nnenna in the stream near her house, just a flash of silver scales, human eyes full of eternal regret. She never acknowledged the sightings. Let Nnenna watch. Let her see what she'd destroyed and failed to claim. The 3 dead brides haunted her more kindly. Sometimes, standing by water, she'd hear their voices. Not words exactly, but feelings. Gratitude, sorrow, warning. They were still conscious down there in Idemili's domain, still themselves enough to care about the living. Adaora became their voice, their memory, their justice. She started speaking to young brides in neighboring villages, sharing her story, warning them. "Watch for these signs," she'd say. "Mothers-in-law who smile with cold eyes. Blessings that feel wrong. Family members who never age. Previous wives who left mysteriously. Trust your instincts. If something feels evil, it probably is." Some laughed at her. Some listened. 3 women came to her privately later, whispering about strange things happening in their marriages. Adaora helped them investigate, connected them with Mama Obiageli, taught them to fight. 2 escaped abusive situations. 1 discovered her husband's family practiced dark rituals. They scattered before becoming victims. Adaora found purpose in her trauma. She'd been marked by the goddess, survived transformation, lived to tell the truth. That meant something. That demanded something. She became a voice for victims, the disappeared, the cursed, the women who walked into rivers and never returned. She collected their names, their stories. She made sure they were remembered. Ngozi, who loved children. Chidinma, who sang beautifully. Amara, who wanted to be a teacher. They weren't just victims, they were people. They mattered. The village where Nnenna's compound stood eventually erected a warning stone. "Beware the bargains of the desperate. Power demanded in blood will be paid in blood. Let the river teach you. Justice always comes." Mothers used Adaora's story to teach daughters. Don't trust appearances. Question authority. Speak up when something feels wrong. Value your life over politeness. Run from evil, even when evil wears a familiar face. At night, alone, Adaora still struggled. The river called sweetest in darkness. Come swim. Come home. Remember how good the water felt? Remember not caring about human things? Come back. Come home. She'd grip her bedsheets, repeating her name. Adaora. I am Adaora. I am human. I choose humanity. I choose air. I choose life. Some nights she believed it. Some nights she had to repeat it until dawn. The craving never left. The scales never vanished. The eyes never changed back. She'd never be who she was before the wedding. That innocent girl died with the first scale. But someone stronger had emerged, someone who'd faced divine judgment, survived transformation, and chosen to live with the consequences. As Adaora walked away from the river this morning, she felt the familiar pull, the water reaching for her, gentle, constant, eternal. She smiled sadly. The river would always call. She would always refuse. That was her price. That was her victory. She was human, scarred, changed, haunted, marked by scales and goddess-touched eyes, and an unending thirst for water. But human, she remembered her name. She chose her path. She lived with intention and purpose. And that was enough. Behind her, in the river's depths, Nnenna swam in circles, consciousness intact, punishment eternal. Above, Adaora walked in sunlight, free and forever changed. The guilty paid. The innocent survived. The goddess had judged fairly. And the river? The river remembered everything. The river always would. It waited patiently, knowing some bargains span lifetimes, knowing justice moves slower than water but just as inevitably. It would be there when the next desperate soul came begging for power. It would be there to exact its price. But it would also be there when survivors needed to face their trauma, make their peace, and choose life over and over again. The river was not good. The river was not evil. The river was fair. And in this unfair world, sometimes that was the best anyone could hope for.